The following is an Infinity One Productions presentation, keeping it honest, insightful, interactive. Covering weekly fallout from TNA Impact Wrestling Live as seen on Spike TV. You're listening to Impact Showdown Radio with your host, Lee Sanders.
You know, as long as I have been doing this show, that has never happened before. I usually remember to unmute myself so that you all can hear me, because I'm not trying to have you all hear my breathing and me drinking my sips of water as I'm moving around listening to the intro. Okay, we're live. We are all set. We're good. That was an error on my part. Mama said there'd be days like this. Black Avenger, Lee Sanders with you with new co-host Diamond K. Diamond, how you doing tonight, buddy?
Oh, very good, very good.
Oh, wow. You know, I've been 160 episodes now, and that's like the first time I've forgotten to hit the unmute button, man.
Yeah, it happens.
It happens, okay. And I was talking, like, some good stuff for, like, 10 minutes, and I'm like, what's going on? I'm like, is this a problem with the switchboard? What's going on here? So it's like, take two, action. That's good. What's up, boys and girls? Welcome to the show. Sorry for that delayed start there. Hey, we got the chat room open for you guys right now at blogtalkradio.com. Feel free to jump on in there when you get a free moment. You can also take the time out to interact with us on Twitter, as we love reading some of you all's tweets. Hit us up at Infinity1Prod. And let's jump right into it without any further ado. So, Diamond, tonight was another night of Impact Wrestling Live being taped. As for those of you not aware, it was taped last Friday, but still a solid episode nonetheless. And if you're one of those type of wrestling fans, you don't care about the spoilers, you don't like reading your wrestling results weeks in advance, this was a good episode for you to check out tonight, as we saw the continuation of what all went down with Aces and Eights from last week, where it was revealed that Wes Briscoe and Garrett Bischoff were new members of Aces and Eights, and they explained themselves tonight. As we saw Garrett Bischoff, he says to the Impact crowd, hey, you know, this is what it's all about for me. It's about respect. You guys aren't showing me the respect. I could care less about you guys. Screw you all. We go to Wes Briscoe. Wes Briscoe had some more interesting choice of words as far as why he went to Aces and Eights. It all came down to the Hulkster, TNA General Manager Hulk Hogan, as he revealed that for 2 years he had been asking Hulk Hogan to bring him on board TNA, and Hogan just kept playing this cat and mouse game with him. Then when he finally brings him into the company, Diamond, Hulk Hogan tells him, you know, you got to start from the bottom, work your way up, and I actually remember that very vividly as soon as he said that. And then we see Briscoe go through the TNA gut check, which he thought was just a joke, as his name itself, Briscoe. He comes from a good long history of wrestlers that, you know, have definitely made their mark in this sport. And reminding Hulk Hogan that it was his dad, Gerald Briscoe, that helped Hogan learn how to lace up a pair of boots, best way that he called it. Devon having choice words for Kurt Angle and Hulk Hogan. Kurt Angle letting it be known to not show his face ever again, or else the beating that he had last week, pretty much he's going to get that again, if not worse. Hulk Hogan, they could care less about the tag match that they were put in tonight, which was a tables match. They always have a ace up their sleeves. Diamond, your thoughts on how Wes Briscoe, Garrett Bischoff did tonight as the new baddies in Aces and Eights?
Surprisingly, I mean, they did pretty good, considering the effects of a heel turn usually are felt at that first promo after it happens, and you know, so I don't know whether or not my standards were so low that they exceeded them or what, but I think they're off to a good start.
Yeah. I was more surprised with Garrett's development. I mean, I remember the last time he tried to go down this heel route. I remember he was brought in by his dad as a heel referee that was kind of doing his dad's dirty work, and then eventually we saw that babyface turn, and we had that series of weeks where he was being just shoved down our throats. You know, he's being made to look like he was possibly going to be the future of the business, as the way they were kind of dubbing him there for a little bit, and fans weren't really buying that. And I don't know, it just seems like this time around, him going heel, it just has a better flow to it. And I know probably a lot of fans were expecting this to happen, but I seriously doubt that a lot of fans were expecting Garrett to be able to just flow so well as he did tonight. I mean, you know, for those that were kind of thinking to themselves, you know, could he possibly, I mean, he made it come off as if he's been with that stable for like a couple of months now. I mean, he just fit in so perfectly. Briscoe was definitely another one. I mean, he was surprisingly pretty good. I mean, that's a good case right there where, you know, it took him a while. And, you know, I didn't even realize how long Aces had been feuding with Kurt Angle there. I wasn't aware that it went for, like, months. I mean, from that video package, it looked as if they were showing at least about, I would say at least 5 months' worth. Was it fair to say?
Yeah, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, that's about right, because the Claire Lynch thing ended in the summertime, and this was right on the heels of that. So.
And for those of you that are just now joining us, we welcome you all. We had a little bit of technical difficulties a couple of minutes ago. Sorry about that. But we're running smooth now. Lee Sanders here, new co-host Diamond K. You're listening to Impact Showdown Radio, coming at you on February 7, 2013. So, you know, we saw some pretty good matches tonight, Diamond. We saw Rob Van Dam defend his title against Zema Ion and Kenny King in a triple threat match, and RVD picking up the win. Taz pointing out a very interesting fact about RVD. Seems like whenever he gets a hold of a belt, he holds it for a long period of time. You know, the only gripe I've ever had about RVD is that he doesn't make enough appearances. He doesn't defend the title more. But I will say this, when he does do his thing, love him or hate him, you're always entertained to a certain extent. You know, Zema Ion and Kenny King, though, you know, those are two guys right there, especially with Zema Ion. You know, I just keep wondering how much longer are we going to see these young guys job to RVD, because it's kind of looking like that X Division title is a little bit in purgatory right now. How you been enjoying RVD as a champion so far?
All right. Well, let me say this. Since ECW days, never been an RVD fan. I always thought that he just thought he was too cool for school. He's not nearly as good as he thinks he is, and that was in his prime. So now that we are on the other side of his career, he still has the same attitude. I'm glad when they, you know, get to the point where they get this title off of him. It seems like he's definitely the wrong person to be the X Division champion. Anybody but RVD.
I've been saying it for months, and those of you that's been listening for months, you definitely can agree with me on this. I thought the sure moneymaker, Diamond, was going to be Zema Ion getting the X Division title. You know, I was expecting this move to be done like around November, set him up perfectly to go on a good long streak with the title, go ahead, bring on in Jesse Sorsen, and let these two guys have at it. You know, you got a nice little long rivalry right there. A lot of folks can definitely get behind. And, you know, they just dropped the ball with this big time. I mean, now last we saw Jesse, you know, he was doing pretty good. He was walking around, was able to kind of turn his neck, you know, but it said he's supposed to come back this year, but we still don't know when he's supposed to come back. I mean, I would think he's supposed to be due back around, at least before summer. I'd be shocked if it was another case where he's supposed to come back around wintertime. But I definitely agree with you. You know, it's time to see some new blood get that X Division title there. Speaking of titles, we did see a change in hands tonight as we got crowned new tag team champions as the team of Bobby Roode, Austin Aries defeated Chavo Guerrero and Big Super Mex Hernandez. It's the tag team that a lot of fans have been dubbing as the new Kane and Daniel Bryan, as
Definitely.
these two men are on a crusade to cleanse the company of old TNA champs, they feel, as it needs to be about them, the new blood, and leading the way right there. Pleased that we see Austin Aries and Bobby Roode become new champions?
Yeah, I actually popped for this a little bit. I was a little surprised. They even fooled me. One problem that I have with both companies is doing each other's storylines so close together. Either they're running something at the same time, or one runs one and the other company runs it, vice versa. This is clearly a spinoff of the Daniel Bryan and Kane, like you said, and WWE guilty of taking from TNA as well. But I think that this is good. But with tag teams, to me, you've got to have a name, you got to dress alike, or some type of change. Once you go from being two single stars to a team, you need to see some type of some type of unity. I just hope that this is not a long-term setup to have the two feud again.
Same here. I really hope that this is a really good stepping stone for them, because I actually would not mind entertaining that idea of seeing them almost get all the belts in the company. I just think that would be something very interesting to see. I mean, we haven't seen it in quite some time. I'm trying to think, just in wrestling, period, promotions and all, when was the last time we saw, either an individual or a tag team practically have almost all the belts? I think you might have to. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yeah, you got to go pretty way back there. So I definitely wouldn't mind seeing that. Other action tonight, we saw James Storm. He pretty much was in a squash match against Jesse. I'm not going to even read that much into that. That match just is what it is. I will say this though, Jesse, he's come a little ways. I'll give him that credit, but I just keep wondering what does TNA have planned for the Cowboy James Storm? I mean, it seems like this guy just keeps getting put into these weird spots where it's like, go do this. Well, we'll try this rivalry, see how that works out. I mean, so far, all within the span of about 3 months. We've seen him do something with Jesse. Before that, we saw him do something with Daniels. A little bit before that, we saw him do something with Kazarian. Looked like he was working there with AJ Styles briefly. It just seems like TNA management, the impression I'm getting, and I could be wrong here, just seems like they aren't really sure what to do with him. A lot of people are putting the question out there, how come this guy isn't the TNA champion? I want to pose this question to you. Do you think it might have to do in part because of the fact that he's a good old country boy, and to have the company be represented by a good old country boy wouldn't really sell so well for them, in those major markets, wherever it is that they're trying to branch out to, or you think that's not even relevant?
Well, I think that is probably their rationale. I don't think it's relevant. I think that you need different types of acts to round out your promotion, and putting the title on a Southern, wrestler, if you will. I don't see anything wrong with that, especially with Impact Wrestling being a Southern promotion.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't quite understand it. I thought that it was just self-explanatory that that's the direction they were going in. And I think that what's happened to James Storm is that the regime changes has hurt him. With that being said, clearly they were on the path of James Storm against Robert Roode at the finals, and it was his time. He was supposed to get the title. It didn't go. They turned off from that direction, and I think it was because of the regime change behind the scenes, and he's just not been able to get back on track. But they missed the boat. I mean, he really has to be completely rebuilt in order for it to feel organic. It's just a missed opportunity.
Yeah, and I mean, and the longer that they keep doing him like this, there's definitely that fear out there that there's just no way they're going to be able to build him back up, just like how they did, the first go round. And I mean, that was a good story in itself. AMW, and then Beer Money, and then singles competition, and then briefly tasting that TNA gold before Bobby Roode just really lit up there, and now he's just been so cold. They really need to get themselves back to that point where, like you say, it isn't forced. Because if you try to force something, the fans aren't really going to be behind it. That's one. Every time I look at James Storm, I'm happy to see him, but I just keep getting so frustrated over the way that they keep utilizing this young man. It's ridiculous. Other than that, tonight we saw a great knockouts match. And for those of you keeping track at home, we basically got 4 matches. Mind you, in case you didn't watch, the Bobby Roode, Austin Aries versus Chavo and Hernandez, that was definitely a solid tag match. But surprisingly, the 4th match, actually there were 5 matches, I need to correct myself. The 4th match before the main event match, which had Tessmacher defeating Terra. That was actually a damn good match. A lot of booty popping going on in there, but that was I always love it when the knockouts are doing their thing, man. I don't know about you, but I always love it when we see Tessmacher and Terra get it on. It seems like every time these two girls hook it up, their matches just gets better and better. And I would hope by this win, Tessmacher is now kind of put in a position there where maybe she could have a shot at that title.
Yes, I've always been a fan of Terra. Whatever promotion she's in, whatever name she chooses, definitely a fan of hers. Tessmacher, not so bad. I mean, Terra's going to deliver. I think she could probably wrestle a broomstick. And a female broomstick, and make it look good. So
always amazes me. I mean, she's beautiful. I mean, just stunning. 40 years old, and she's just able to hang. I mean, that's mad props right there, man. Seriously. And of course, we had that main event match. We saw, and I couldn't wait for that to end because seeing Bully Ray hawking out and all that was just a little too much for me, man. But we saw Bully Ray team up with the Icon Sting to defeat Aces and Eights members Devon and Doc of Aces and Eights, tag team match. Post-match, we saw the Hulkster, Brooke Hogan, come on out and join in the celebration as Bully Ray, first night back in TNA since being reinstated by the Hulkster. Brother! Picked up a victory right there. Where do you see this going with Bully Ray? I've been pretty vocal about the way Bully Ray just continues to be put under the thumb of the Hogans. I've been very vocal about it week after week. I definitely want to get your take on how you've been seeing this so far.
As far as him being aligned with the Hogans?
Yeah, is it really helping him or is it hurting him?
I think it's helping him. It's definitely raising his profile. Funny thing is I've said from the beginning that I always thought that Brooke Hogan was going to be involved in Aces and Eights. And I'm still going to stand by that. It sounds crazy, but what is the
I see where you're going
here? You know, what is the end game here? It's got to be. It's clearly it's not going to be Bully Ray. Well, I don't know if I can say clearly, but I don't think that it's Bully Ray. What would be the shocker? We've never actually seen Aces and Eights attack Brooke, right?
No.
You know, and I know it sounds crazy, but it's just crazy enough for Impact Wrestling to try it. So that's my thoughts on that. But I think that their attempt with Bully Ray is sort of like an Austin type from the standpoint of a kick-ass type of a wrestler. You know, a bad guy per se, but we cheer for him. I think that's what they're going after. But I still think Bully Ray is doing his best work, and he's involved in the major angles because he's in a program with the Hogans. He is under the thumb, so to speak, but it's a good position to be in, visibility-wise. Funny thing to me is at the end of the match, at the end of the show, when Hogan was coming up to Bully Ray after he won the match, for one moment Hogan looked like the huckster from the old WCW or the WWE commercials when they were talking about Hogan when he was in WCW.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's because his movement is really, really slow. And
yeah, it's kind of like what's Hogan plotting here? Yeah, especially in that backstage segment there when he was talking with Bully Ray, and Bully's like, "Okay, Dad," and you see Hogan, he's like, "Good." I'm like, what the hell is he plotting now? But turns out he actually wasn't plotting anything. And folks, there you have it. That's tonight's results of Impact Wrestling. You know how we do it over here. We talk about Impact Wrestling, and then we dive into a little bit of TNA Wrestling news. Before we do that, though, I want to show our boy Diamond in the chat room here, Robert, interesting fact he wants to bring up here. Hardcore Justice 2007. TNA and IWGP World Heavyweight Champion Kurt Angle versus TNA World Tag Team and TNA X Division Champion Samoa Joe in a winner-take-all match. Good memory there.
Right.
Good memory there, Robert. Thank you for that. So it's definitely been a while. If there was ever a time to kind of see, one person or a team have multiple belts, that would definitely be the best time to do it. I don't know if maybe stables count, but if we're going to try to count stables, I would definitely say Main Event Mafia there. They pretty much had all the gold there.
Yeah.
I want to pick your brain on this, and it's something that I thought was just very I felt bad for a lot of these people, and I want to read the official statement to you guys. I was thinking about taking a commercial break. I don't even want to do that. I feel pretty good. You feel good, Diamond?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, let's forget the commercial. We'll just go right through it. And I thought this was really bad. I'm gonna pull this up for you guys right now. Give me a second here. In case you might have missed it, it looks like the TNA Gut Check voting contest has been suspended amongst controversy. Now, for those of you that have missed this, I'm going to read it to you, let you know what's happening. And we reported this over at our website at infinityoneproductions.com. Now, those of you bear in mind that this whole polling, it had began a couple of weeks ago in early February as they wanted fans to vote for their favorite wrestlers that's participated at past TNA Gut Check seminars. Now, these winners, they would be in these bracket tournaments, and basically whoever won these, they would advance, and eventually they'd be able to make an appearance on Spike TV's Impact Wrestling and be able to go for a TNA gut check contract. Breaking news, TNA President Dixie Carter is now on Bellator MMA Boxing. She is letting it be known that she has signed King Mo to a long-term contract deal. She's saying she's very excited. She loves working with him. This guy, we talk every other day. He's training with Mayweather in Las Vegas. Driving down here today, he promised me a knockout. What can I say? And I think that is it. I guess that was the news right there, that King Mo had signed a long-term deal with TNA Wrestling. I'll have to rewind that. I got that on the DVR. But if anybody's watching Bellator MMA, if there was a little bit more to Dixie Carter's announcement, please let us know so we can share that with all the listeners. Anyway, back to the TNA Gut Check voting contest. So they did the whole tournament there, vote for your favorite wrestler. And basically, they had warned fans in the original press release that only one vote per IP address would be valid. Now, the one vote limit ended up being not valid as a major glitch was discovered, folks, and this resulted in multiple voting for a favorite wrestler, thus the tampering of the outcome across all brackets when voting. Now, this move, it had infuriated some independent wrestlers who were on the list, as a handful had reached out to the TNA Wrestling organization for an explanation and were told that the voting system would not be changed. Key words, would not be changed. A few wrestlers who were ahead in the voting even asked to be removed from the polls after finding out about the glitch. Now, one of those independent wrestlers is by the name of Adrienne Reese, better known by her ring name as Athena. She was one of the leaders in her gut check poll. She was locked to advance until fans abused the power of the voting, and she shared a little bit of her anger in a tweet. And she put this out there. So TNA emailed everyone this morning and said they're not going to fix the multi-vote result. I officially don't give two shits about this bullshit contest. Direct words right here, not mine, hers. This means that the original wrestlers who were leading the polls may no longer win, considering fans, family, or a particular wrestler can vote up to 1,000 times or more. Now, TNA, they had issued a press release stating that they suspended this contest, and, that's one reaction right there. Now, long-time, good old friend of ours, Diamond, Justin Reno, we just had him on the show last week, and he was very excited about this TNA gut check thing. I was speaking with him earlier today, and I had asked him if he had any comments about what had happened. And this is what he had to say. This is all Justin Reno right here. I made sure it was okay to say this because I don't want to put him in a bad spot. But I don't think what he has to say would put him in a bad spot, as it's classy, but it's blunt, which goes as follows. Give me my glasses here. Here we go. One of the things that happened, three things that happened, this whole thing was a work to get a shit ton of free publicity for the new website. The wrestlers they wanted, expected to win, weren't winning, so they canned it. Or the whole thing was just botched. I think it was just a massive botch to put 400 wrestlers' names on a website and have the fans search through them all. With 400 names, there is no way TNA fans are looking at all those. The votes are coming from family, friends, Facebook friends, and campaigning. It's just a terrible way to pick the next star. Maybe if they did one bracket at a time, or even less, it might have worked. But the whole thing was just a waste of time and effort at this point. And if they bring it back, I won't even promote it because it would be embarrassing to do it all over again. They just worked us all, nothing else really to say. Diamond, I definitely want to get your reactions to that piece of news there.
Well, I saw the uproar And I think it's unfortunate, and let me tell you why. We are, it's like when you talk about any of the other voting that any other promotion does, that WWE does, Impact Wrestling does it as well. This whole thing is a work. I'm talking about the whole business is a work. We know it's a work. So, when you add elements to it and it's a work, so what? It's a work. You know what I mean? So we want to be entertained. We want to see the athleticism. Okay, they know who they're going to pick. So, let them pick it. It's an opportunity. But when some of the wrestlers, go on these, tirades, it hurts the chances of someone. Now they're not going to do any of this. And I think it's unfortunate. I think that the wrestlers are shooting themselves in the foot for this purpose. You can't take it too serious. It is what it is. It is a work. There's only a certain amount of spots that are open. And they're gauging. They want the people to promote it. Yes, it's true. But, it is what it is. What are they expecting? They're expecting real voting in a work scenario. That doesn't even make sense.
Yeah, and 400 names. I must admit, when I first had heard about the contest, I had some concerns because I'm like, okay. And I remember when Justin was on the show here, and I'm not trying to put him in a bad spot, but it's just something that just now clicked in my head like a light bulb. I remember when I was interviewing him, I said, dude, so let the folks know how they can find you so they can vote for you. And it was something that he had pointed out when I was talking to him a little bit more earlier today. They aren't even telling the fans the ring names that they're under. You're basically looking for these guys under their real name. So, it's a lot of extra work that these people that did want to participate in this contest, it's more extra work for them because they're putting it out there. Oh, my real name is blah, blah, blah. You can find me, here, vote for me, blah this, blah that. And, 400 people that is on a website, there's just really no way. I think TNA Wrestling, I got to tackle both sides here. I think for the wrestlers, I want to try to understand it from their standpoint. They've done all the publicity, all this hard work. In a case like Justin Reno, he sat up, as I'm sure many other wrestlers, they drove for many hours to these seminars to have their little tryout matches, and it's not free, mind you. You got to pay to do these doggone things. So they're putting in all this time, dedication to try to hopefully win a spot. They know that if they can get in with TNA Wrestling, that it's that stepping stone that they need to get to that mecca known as the WWE. And anybody that says, I don't care about the WWE, I think they're lying, quite honestly. Everybody wants to, at least in their wrestling career, had passed through the WWE. So a lot of these folks, they're looking at promotions like TNA Wrestling to be that stepping stone that they need to advance, to get that attention from the Stamford, Connecticut company. Okay, so I can understand their level of frustration. Now, let me look at it from TNA Wrestling standpoint. Now, when it's all said and done, they messed up big time with this voting system, okay? Don't you guys have people that sit up and are testing out bugs, glitches, it's almost, it's funny because it has me think about my favorite video game. Just think about your favorite video game, for those of you listening, that you got on your Xbox 360, that you got on your PS3. Just think about your favorite game for a second. Notice how every single time, especially if it's a mainstream popular game, like I'll go with Call of Duty, all right? You turn on your game console, and boom, apparently there is a mandatory patch that they want you to play. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to play that bad boy online. So what do? You're downloading the patch. You find out later after you do your homework what that patch had addressed, okay? Where were the guys that were testing out this voting system to make sure that there were not glitches to begin with? You know what I'm saying? And then, see, Diamond, this is the real slap in the face. if you're really legit about the contest, you're not just going to sit up and say, okay, you know what, the contest is over. We'll just do this again in a couple of weeks. We're sorry about the confusion. After you've already said once the glitches has been exploited that, you know, it's not going to change, it stands where it is, but then you retract that because of the heat that you're getting, and then you cancel the whole thing and just say you're going to do it again later, heck yeah, you're going to alienate those wrestlers that spent a lot of time doing that publicity and all that. And see, this is the suggestion I would make to Impact Wrestling. And surprisingly, there's actually a couple of people that I'm kind of aware of that do listen to the show. And it's funny because I see them do these weirdest things that kind of lets me know that they are listening. This is my suggestion to you guys. The next time you have this contest, all right, test it out, test out all the glitches. But if you want to be for real, I think you guys owe all these men and women a sincere apology, and the best way that you guys can make it up to them is to continue doing the tournament. I think you just eliminate the voting system, Diamond, right? Just eliminate it, all right? You bring in 2 guys, you let them compete on TNA Gut Check. Whoever wins in that, you let them advance. Kind of do it like the American Gladiators. You know what I'm saying? You had all those people that kept winning and winning for, like, you know, the entire season. Then, like, towards the end of that season, they would bring in all the people that won and have them all compete for the big cash prize. Right. Kind of do something like that, you know?
Yeah, it's not bad. I mean, it's something. I mean, ultimately, unlike the video game analogy, there's no testing. They just wanted people to vote and promote, and for the wrestlers, they looked at it like this. If we got 400 wrestlers, and each one of these 400 wrestlers promotes this show, whoever promotes the most and gets the most feedback, we'll pick them if we like their look and all of that. This was strictly a promotional angle. They were going to pick who they were going to pick. And, you know, so from that standpoint, it costs much more than what it's worth for them to actually set it up so the IP addresses can only have a single vote and all that kind of stuff. They were trying to put people in the honor system and say it was single voting because it's cheaper to do it that way. Just say it and hope that the people don't do it, or if they do it, they don't abuse it. And that's what they were just hoping for, something cost-effective, a promotional tool, and maybe we can get a future star out of it. That's all they wanted to do. Yeah. And you know, and unfortunately, it just I think it was a good idea, but you know, because the spots are so few and limited, the people, you know, took it a little bit more serious than what they should have.
Yeah, I agree with that. Hopefully they take their sweet time doing this. We got to address a report that's going around here, and I think this is pretty accurate. I don't usually like to talk about rumors, but this one seems to be pretty legit, which looks like right now WWE, they are taking great notice to TNA going on the road, and it looks like after the announcement that they made last week, WWE has begun contacting a number of mid-sized arenas to put holds on them for future dates in order to keep TNA from running those venues. And it looks like in the event that TNA starts running every show on Thursdays, WWE is starting to entertain the thought of changing their touring schedule around shows on Thursday nights, as well as have them play out in similar markets that TNA runs. And they're also talking about possibly doing a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. That way they don't cross paths with TNA Wrestling there. What's your thoughts about that?
I mean, it's typical Vince takeover style. But that says a lot if that comes to fruition, that WWE is taking these steps to block them. That means that they will be a little concerned. That's the only reason that you would do it. I think TNA will be fine regardless. I don't think that the crowd size that they had these last couple of episodes of Impact is not nearly the size of crowd that they're going to get starting off with this tour. I would expect that they're going to be around the 1,000 mark arenas, and WWE is not going to go that small.
Yeah, I mean, it's really nice to hear that they're going to be taking this on the road, and I can just imagine a ton of people that are excited about this. I am not going to lie, I'm definitely excited for them. I want for them to succeed, but, you know, when you think about those small numbers from their house show events, you know, I mean, they're barely able to get 1,000 if they're lucky, you know, and you're going to try to fill up the Sears arena there. I hear that's a pretty big arena. I don't know, man. It's kind of like a play it by the ear. You want for them to do well. I'm glad that they're finally getting out from Orlando, Florida there, and they're taking the show on the road, because really, how are you going to know what's really working for your product if you're giving it to the same crowd, you know, week after week after week? What might be good for that Florida crowd, New York crowd might not like it. So it's good that they're getting out there. I just question some of these venues that they're going to be performing at. You know, I kind of think it needs to be a little bit more smaller first, and try to see how those ticket sales go, if they are able to make a pretty good profit, and then maybe entertain the idea of branching out more, going for bigger venues. You know, you think about that, you can't help but also think about the other moves that they've been making as of late. Looks like they're going to be working on a 2-part UK show. I believe it's going to be the Backstage Pass edition that they're going to be doing for them. They also got another UK show that's going to be launching soon. I mean, they've been having such a phenomenal job out there in the UK. They got a Japan deal that they just struck out there, which sees bring Impact Wrestling over there. It's going to be a month behind, though. That's the only thing. And pay-per-views, all that. It's going to be a month behind. Do you think TNA is kind of, you know, some kind of argue about this, but I definitely want to get your take on this. Do you think they have the right mindset of reaching out overseas and branching out more, or should they have focused on home first?
Well, I mean, you know, they have several wrestlers on their roster who have pretty good ties to the UK and Europe. So they definitely want to take advantage of those as much as possible and maximize those. So, you know, for the last couple of years, some of these overseas shows have been the best shows that they put on. So for whatever reason, the fan base there is excited about the Impact Wrestling. They're just excited about wrestling in general. They don't get it as often from the States, I'm assuming, because whenever they go there, even when WWE goes there, I mean, whoever, they definitely eat it up, the American style of wrestling. So I definitely think that they should do it, but it's expensive. They don't do it that often, and that's usually why they get, you know, a decent turnout whenever they do it. So I think they definitely should concentrate at home. This journey that they're embarking on as far as touring is expensive. So as long as they can maintain this and understand that just starting it out is not going to just explode off the top, it's going to take time to build it up. And, you know, like you said, they're going to be getting 800, 900, 1,000 people into a building, and they're going to have to keep the talent budget manageable in order to make this whole thing work. Or just like many other TNA projects where wrestling matters and the ranking system and all these things, this could be something that lasts for a couple of months, and then we're back to the impact zone. So yeah, I just hope they manage it properly. Yeah.
It should be interesting to see how the next 6 months play out. You know, this is one where, you know, I know a lot of TNA fans, they're very excited about all these moves that they're doing, but this is really a just kick back and really watch this, because these next 6 months, it's really going to tell the real story here. It's going to make or break them for real. And speaking about international deals, looks like they just landed a new deal in the German market, as they just confirmed that the company is in the final stages preparing a move to have Impact Wrestling be appearing on premium sports channel, Sports 1, for the German market. The deal would return Impact Wrestling and possibly pay-per-view events to Germany after talks with Sky Deutschland had fell through there. So they're continuing to make their moves overseas there, and it looks like they've also secured some advertising during Raw in Chicago. I wasn't even aware of this. Apparently, TNA Wrestling had purchased a local advertising spot in Chicago during Monday's WWE Raw, promoting the first permanent on-the-road Impact Wrestling that's going to be coming up March 14th at the Sears Center. I didn't even see that spot. Did you see a TNA spot on Raw from Monday?
I did not.
Yeah.
Maybe they're talking about this coming Monday.
It must be talking about this coming Monday. Yeah, that was very interesting.
I definitely would have. I have seen TNA spots on Raw at different points in time in the past, but I just did not see one this week.
Speaking of WWE, how about the WWE references there? I see it seems like nowadays not a week goes by that we get Mike Tenay. Somebody is having that WWE reference tonight. It was all about Lord Alfred Hayes there. And what's been your take on this whole WWE name dropping there? I mean, we know they just got done with the lawsuit there. Do you think this is maybe their way of kind of just kiss and make up, if you will, or is it really just generally a case where they're just trying to hype up a particular match or a particular star? Because this is one of those things on a weekly basis, and we see what you guys are saying on Twitter. It seems like this is the one thing that a lot of TNA fans are just irritated with, that Mike Tenay and crew just keeps name-dropping WWE left and right.
I definitely think it's a conscious effort. I think that they're just trying to state the obvious, and if it's not so obvious, like in the case of Mike Knox or someone like that, they want to definitely bring it to your attention and remind the people. But instead of looking at someone that used to be in WWE as being let go by WWE, they want to try to spin it and leave the casual fan with the impression that they chose Impact Wrestling over WWE, as ridiculous as that is. Yeah, so they're definitely doing it on purpose. What has been your thoughts on the commentating of Taz?
Oh God, I'm glad you brought that topic up. Yeah, Taz. Where do I begin, man? I mean, let's just talk about his role in Aces and Eights in a nutshell real quick, okay? So just like the way you had Taz play out, if I'm not mistaken, I believe the last group Taz was affiliated with, was it Main Event Mafia?
Yeah, I think
okay, so you have him be a part of that. Yeah, he's still doing the commentating. He's still the same old Taz. Now, 3 weeks ago, you have it be revealed that he's a member of Aces and Eights. I said it like 2 weeks ago. I'm like, okay, this is a great move by TNA Wrestling, but hopefully this will put Taz in a position where he will just focus on being the mouthpiece of Aces and Eights, and he abandons the commentating booth altogether, because it would be a great transition for Mike Tenay and Todd Kinley. That would really explain why Todd, in a large part, was brought into the company. But then just the next week, man, to see Taz just do his usual shtick, okay, and, he's trying to pretend to be this big, bad heel commentator, but, he's not even doing a hell of a job putting over all the heel wrestlers. it's just same old Taz, you know. It's like, I don't care how many times you can dress it up, it's still the same flavor. And quite honestly, I just think that this is another missed opportunity by TNA Wrestling. Why they wanted him to be in the Aces and Eights, I have the slightest clue, because they really have not been utilizing him right. He's not even really doing a good job by himself on commentating, promoting Aces and Eights.
Right, and like you said, it's just his commentary is inconsistent, and I mean, it was like he's doing the same exact stuff that he was doing before his so-called turn. So it's just, I don't know. Just think about it. If you are TNA, or if you're Mike Tenay, character-wise, you wouldn't want Taz commentating with you as part of Aces and Eights. I mean, it's just, if there was going to be no difference between Taz then and Taz now, why even come out and acknowledge that you're part of Aces and Eights?
Right.
It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't. It doesn't. I mean, it's just been a bad job so far. You know, and that's the thing. So many people were very excited, myself included. I thought that this was the breath of fresh air, that jolt that Aces and Eights was going to need. You know, of course, if you're a long-time wrestling fan, ECW fan, you're familiar with Taz's work. You know he's one of the kings when it comes to cutting promos. This was a good moment. It's like, how can you go wrong? Especially when it was kind of looking as though Taz was just going to leave commentating altogether, which would just had pleased a lot of fans. A lot of people haven't been feeling him over the years. I actually miss Don West. I've gone on record many times. Don West, there was just something about him. At least you were entertained. With Taz, you know, there's just something about his commentating. You know, let's give credit where it's due, man. What's the guy's name? Todd Kenley. He seems to be the one guy that's really just been trying to stay with the audience, letting them know what's happening in the match. He's actually been trying to call it. Tenay, you know, he's kind of there, but Taz, it's like Taz isn't even there. When Don West was there, he even tried to call matches. I mean, he tried to make you feel invested. So, you know, I'm very curious to see where this end result is going to be. Hopefully it goes in that direction that you're talking about with Brooke, because, you know, this really needs all the shock value that it can get. And for those of you keeping track at home with Aces and Eights, it looks like now we're possibly down to one member that's maxed. Diamond, who do you think is up under there?
I mean, it's no telling. It's no telling. I don't know. I tell you, I would like to see something funny, like I don't know, something. It would have to happen on live TV. But do you remember the whole thing that happened in WCW when you had the mask guy and he had, you know, his helmet fell off. When Ole Anderson was doing the voice. The Shockmaster, right? Shockmaster. I would like to see a funny scenario like that happen some kind of way. But that aside, I mean, it's no telling. I always thought it would be cool if Vince Russo was involved with it. But then that would mean he would have to come back. So,
right.
You know, I don't know. But I don't think that shocking us, pardon the Shockmaster example, but shocking us is always a good thing. I think that sometimes the obvious works if that's what works. Don't shock us for the sake of shocking us, and then it's just something stupid just so we as diehard fans don't guess it. You know what I mean?
Right. I'm really hoping we get something soon because, you know, I'm all for TNA Wrestling continuing to push longer storylines, try to get people really feel invested. But, you know, if you're not putting that little twist in there that's needed to kind of keep the fans intrigued, it's not going to last that very long. And, I mean, I think if anything, them putting Taz in there, it just alienated folks a little bit more now that they're going to be getting the same old stuff. So hopefully the end result is going to be big, and, you know, we continue to hear they need Scott Steiner. How badass would that be? Scott Steiner would make a lot of sense, totally in agreement. Bully Ray, a lot of people are still holding on for Bully Ray there. A lot of folks want to see Hulk Hogan. It could be Brooke. You never know. It could be Brooke. Could be Vince Russo. It could be the Shockmaster. It could be Doink the Clown. It could be the Brooklyn Brawler. It could be the hot dog vendor. It could be anybody up there. But, I mean, man, they really need some type of, I just got to brainstorm. I'll tell you this. If you want shock value, you have it be AJ Styles.
You know, I think that they need what that faction needs, and Impact Wrestling, is they need some credibility. We need somebody, a major star, to be under one of those masks. We need a major star, not Luke Gallows, not Mike Knox, not not D'Lo Brown or any of that kind of stuff. We need, Batista, or we need somebody that was a major star. I don't know, Matt Hardy, even. It's somebody that had a bigger run. Not somebody where we have to say, it's thus and so, he was in WWE. Like, nobody even remembered who Mike Knox was. Like,
Right.
He's the Russell on Superstars or Shotgun Saturday Night or whatever. Whatever he was on. You know what I mean? They got to say the show and everything. I mean, we need somebody that's completely visible in order for that to work. But, if I'm TNA and I knowing the people that's in charge, this is a big setup. I see Bash at the Beach happening all over again. But you won't. I don't think you can turn Hogan heel. But I still kind of think these Hogans are involved.
They put themselves in a very bad spot, and the longer this plays out, they're really giving us the indication that they aren't sure how to end this.
They definitely don't have an end game, and even if they did, never underestimate the manipulation of the Hogans. Like I said earlier, James Storm was probably slated to win, and Hogan got that scrapped, I think, or was it Bobby Roode? I don't remember. But one of the way I think Hogan was speaking out against one of them, and then it might have been Bobby Roode. But in the end, picture this and tell me if you could see this happening. Could you see Hogan walking down and dropping the big leg on Bully Ray as part of Aces and Eights? Could you see that happening? Because I could see them doing it.
As much as I would love to see that happening, first I would need to see Hulk Hogan have a couple of surgeries to make that possible, because that would be one of the most slowest, longest leg drops in the history of his career. And just to see Bully Ray just laying there for like 30 seconds while Hulk Hogan sets it up, man. I don't know, man. I don't know about that. But if it wasn't for that, I could see Hulk Hogan doing it. I don't know. They put themselves in a very, very weird spot right here. I don't know. I'm not going to even continue to wrap my brain around it. I remember how I set up months ago trying to figure out who might have been up under those masks. Half of them I got right, but whoever is the guy behind it all, let's just hope it doesn't end in a way where TNA fans will be alienated once again and say, oh, man, it's another WWE reject, because that's really the last thing.
Would Eric Bischoff alienate fans if it was Eric Bischoff?
Bischoff would do something, yeah. He usually doesn't like the internet fans, yeah. So
is there someone that could come on under the mask that's in TNA right now that would not let the fans down.
You need Bischoff. You need Bischoff.
You need Bischoff? You think he needs to be in it?
He needs to. The fans need it right now. I think from this standpoint, if you have it be revealed that it's Eric Bischoff, I think the fans would want to go with it. You know what I'm saying? A lot of them might be like, oh, I knew it. But I think more fans would be inclined to continue to see the development of the Bischoff storyline. But then you got to keep in mind when we had the whole Immortal thing going on, a lot of fans didn't like seeing Hogan, Bischoff. They were pretty tired of that, even when you had it end up in a way where it was Hogan versus Bischoff. A lot of folks were tired, with that. But if you can do this in a way where you have Bischoff come back as not the old Eric Bischoff, you have him come back as a new character. Remember, the last time we saw Eric Bischoff there, he was fired. It was said that he could no longer use the name Eric Bischoff. Okay, so this really gives him an opportunity to come back on TV. And it's funny because there was an interview that he gave recently where he sat up and answered the question if Eric Bischoff, this is the way the question was put out there, so you kind of got to read in between the lines here. The question was asked, would Eric Bischoff be returning to TNA Wrestling? And he pretty much said, no, I'm in the other projects right now. You kind of got to read between the lines. Of course, Eric Bischoff wouldn't come back to TNA Wrestling, not when it's still fresh on the minds of a lot of folks, the circumstances for him leaving that last go-round. So, yeah, bring him back, but as a new character, give him a new name. He can definitely, if handled right, he could sell aces and eights.
I hope that I don't know. I don't know. A part of me says that Eric Bischoff is mixed up in it. It only makes sense. His son is in it, and maybe his son pulls some strings to, have the stipulations not enforced. A part of me thinks that the Hogans are involved in some way, but TNA being so WWE hungry, there's still also the possibility there could be somebody, obscure like Chris Masters or some, just some weird random ex-WWE wrestler.
Oh, God. Hey, let's end it on this note. Robert gave us a good one here. He said, Robert in the chat room, he said, but if it's a top guy, why Aces and Nates didn't attack Jeremy Borash? Let's just end it on that one, Jeremy Borash. Oh, God. All right, so we got a quick programming note for you guys. This Saturday is the weekend edition of the RCWR show. You can catch it at 2 p.m. Eastern. We'll be covering all things wrestling and beyond. Join me. You know how we do it. Diamond, he won't be with us, but you'll be able to catch him Saturday as well. He'll be doing a show later in the evening. Why don't you let the folks know about it?
Well, we do the Ustream Radio live show 2 to 4 on Saturdays on ustreamradio.com.
So, you have a little, we have one option, you have two options, pick your poison. That's what I always say,
Absolutely.
So check.
They can hear it on demand as well, so they can see live and hear us on demand.
Yeah, check it out. And I want to let all you guys know out there that have your little special cuties, your little girlfriends, your wives, Impact Showdown Radio won't be airing at its usual time next Thursday night. Instead, it's going to be a very special episode, Valentine's Day night, 12 a.m. Join yours truly. I'm going to be kicking back, and I'm going to be playing some good old slow jam songs from the 80s, 90s, early 2000s today. Help get you and your loved one into the Valentine's Day spirit. Catch that next Thursday night, 12 a.m. Eastern. Should be very interesting. I've already got a few people turning heads like, how are you going to pull that off and sound very seductive and all that? And, well, you put on some Barry White, and you can do just about anything, you know. So it should be interesting. But the duo, the two of us, that is, we will be back with you guys next Tuesday night at 11 p.m. Eastern. We'll cover the fallout from WWE Raw, get you guys ready for the Elimination Chamber. Should be a pretty strong episode going into that respective pay-per-view. Diamond, any last thoughts, bro?
Yeah, no last thoughts. Looking forward to another week of wrestling.
Yeah, you know what? This has been a blast. 2 shows in, and it just seems like we've been doing this for a couple of months now. And, you know, we're flowing pretty good over here, man. We had a little glitch tonight. We're sorry about that. That was, you know, huge error on my part. And I think we rebound very nicely, though, towards the end there. And I definitely want to thank all of you for joining us this week. And let's keep rocking and rolling for Diamond K. I'm the Black Avenger, Lee Sanders. You all be safe. Be kind to one another, folks. Have a great and safe weekend. Everybody take care.